Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, everybody. Hope your Tuesday is off to an awesome start. You know the drill, fire away, questions, comments, concerns, etc. Get into all of it here over the next 29 minutes or so. Got in the description there for today's episode, the Saints targeted a new candidate for their OC gig. Gerard Johnson, name should sound familiar. Gerard Johnson was a quarterback at Texas A&M from 2008 to 2010. If you remember, when LSU played A&M in that Cotton Bowl in 2010, Ryan Tannehill actually played quarterback in that game. But Gerard Johnson was in the program. Might have been injured for that game, or they switched a little bit back and forth, if I remember correctly. But anyway, bounced around the NFL for a few years, and then got into the Bill Walsh. I think the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Program is what they call it, and was able to work with Kyle Shanahan and Frank Reich with the Colts, and now is with the Texans as their quarterbacks coach. Obviously, Coach C.J. Stroud this year, so that's another young OC candidate that the Saints are targeting, and I like what they're doing. It's very obvious. They interviewed Zach Robinson, who's the Rams quarterbacks coach. They interviewed Dan Pitcher, who's the Bengals quarterbacks coach. I think Dan Pitcher just took another job somewhere else. Shane Waldron, who's the Seahawks OC, who just took the job with the Bears. You can now Gerard Johnson. You can see what they're doing. They are looking very clearly at the McVay Shanahan coaching tree, and I love that because look around the NFL and look at the top offenses in the NFL this year, and look at what they, with a couple of small exceptions, look at what they have in common. So, all right, so here you go. Here's your top offenses in the NFL this year. Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, off that tree. 49ers, Shanahan. Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson, young OC. Buffalo Bills, Joe Brady, young OC. 5 is Dallas Cowboys, which McCarthy, he's one of the exceptions. Ravens, Monken, again, another exception. Rams, McVay. Eagles with Sirianni, who was in Indy last year as the OC, or prior to get the Eagles job. Chiefs with Reed is the other one. Vikings with Kevin O'Connell, 38 years old, off that coaching tree. You understand, like, there's a pretty consistent theme with 7 of the top 10 offenses in the NFL. They're all attached to that McVay Shanahan coaching tree, young coaches. So yeah, go see if you can find the next bright young rising star, 30 something, and see if you can find in him, whoever it is, that same magic, that unlock that's basically been running the top 10 offenses in the NFL. So I like it. If someone asked me yesterday, who do you want to be the Saints OC? And I don't know that I have an answer, because I can't tell you much about what Gerard Johnson's like as a coach, or Dan Pitcher, or Zach Robinson. I don't know. They haven't done enough. But I do know what I don't want, and that's a retread. And if you give me the opportunity to get someone off that coaching tree we just talked about, yes, that's what I want. But I can't tell you specifically who, because I just don't think we have enough evidence. So get those guys in for interviews and make a good decision on who can be a leader of men and carry your offense forward. All right, we'll say some good mornings here. Y'all smash the like button if you would. Subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page. Share the post. We appreciate y'all for being here. Dustin Stallings, Charlie Cavell, good morning. Dustin said the dream OC is Joe Brady. Would be okay with Zach Robinson, though. So I don't know why Joe Brady would be the dream OC. You'd have to elaborate, other than the fact that he was at LSU. Brady went to Carolina and kind of washed out. Went up to Buffalo where he was quarterback's coach. They fire Ken Dorsey. They elevate Joe Brady to OC, and and they did well this year. I think in large part due to the fact that Joe Brady was willing to go more heavily on the ground game. Coincidentally, because Brady was the passing game coordinator when he was here. But remember, Brady also was in that Joe Moorhead system at Penn State, where they would run the quarterback, and Brady is the one who brought those Taysom Hill packages to New Orleans because he had it with Joe Moorhead at Penn State. So maybe it's not surprising that we saw Josh Allen become such a running threat with Joe Brady calling plays, because that's something I think that's a core of what he wants to do. Jason Horn, Gerard Leday, good morning. But anyway, the one benefit to Brady, I would tell you over the others, is that he has called plays. Zach Robinson, Gerard Johnson, Dan Pitcher, they haven't. So at least Brady has called plays. That would be the one benefit. But if it's a dream scenario, I don't know why it's a dream scenario other than the fact that he was at LSU. Adam Parker, Jeff Hawk, good morning. Chris P, it's Poppy 504, what's up? Marcus Washington, good morning. Robert Mason, Brian Penton, Montreal Cage Sr., good morning. Wendell Norman, Rudy, Vaughn, Damon, good morning. Daniel, catching a live show, good to have you here. Hey, Juan, good morning. Your rant from yesterday about the Bama roster was awesome. Yeah, so it'll be up. Jason Monville said, missed AFR yesterday. Didn't miss any more Bama as burning rants. Yes, that's what Juan's talking about. It was at the top of hour 3, and it'll be on YouTube today. I think they were just making a thumbnail for it. But what I did was exactly what I told you I was going to do. Because, listen, Bama's lost 30 guys into the portal, and when you look at portal, guys that are out of eligibility, early entrance into the draft, you're talking about replacing more than half your roster, right? Bama's losing 50 some odd guys from their roster. So they're going to get commitments. They are going to get commitments. Like, they're not going to field a roster with 40 scholarship guys. So they're going to get commitments out of the portal. Bama might have the top, when it's all said and done, might have the top portal class because of volume. Remember 2 years ago, Brian Kelly's first class, they signed like 18 guys out of the portal. They had like the number 1 or 2 portal class, but it wasn't necessarily quality, it was quantity. So, which added their cumulative score. Anyway, so what I told you though I was going to do is when it's all said and done, I'm going to go look at who they lost and who they gained, and we're going to compare the list of talent. How many 4 and 5 stars, how many games started, production, all that sort of stuff. And what you're going to see is a pretty drastic drop off. So one of the things I mentioned yesterday, so like, for example, they got a commitment from Jeremy Bernard. Jeremy Bernard's a wide receiver who was at Washington. Jeremy Bernard, when he was coming out of high school, was in the composite number 239 nationally. Well, they gained Bernard, they lost Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond, when he was coming out of school in the composite, was like the number 47 overall player. So you lost the 47th overall player in the country and gained the number 240th player in the country. You lost your best receiver and gained Washington's 4th receiver. You didn't get Rome Odunze. You didn't get Polk. You got their 4th guy. Seth McLaughlin. Seth McLaughlin's Alabama's starting center this past year as a senior. He's taken advantage of the COVID year, so he's going to be a 5th-year player this year. He's started the last 2 years, so he'll be going to his 3rd year as a starter. Seth McLaughlin leaves and goes to Ohio State. Pretty good player, right? When Ohio State's going and plucking you away? Well, they lose Seth McLaughlin, a 5th-year senior going into his 3rd year as a starter, and they add Parker Brailsford from Washington. Parker Brailsford coming out of high school was like the number 550 overall player in the country. Redshirted as a freshman in 2022 at Washington. Then started every game this past year and was second team All Pac-12. So would you rather a guy that's second team All Pac-12 who redshirted as a freshman, or a guy that's a fifth-year senior who started the last 2 years for you in the SEC? You see my point? Like, they gain Austin Mack, quarterback commit, it's a 4-star. They lost Julian Sayin, the 5-star number 1 quarterback in the country. Every player they're losing, they're replacing with someone who is significantly less decorated or accomplished in their college career. So you're going to see that roster, that Bama roster, which has always been here, erode. Like, they're here, they lose all these guys, they drop down here, they're building it back. If this was the standard, they're building it back, and it's going to settle somewhere like right here. It's just not going to be the same. Anyway, so I had a lot of fun with that yesterday. That will be up on YouTube today. Or you can go listen to it. Just search your After Further Review on your favorite podcast app. Subscribe, please, as well. And subscribe to LSU Daily. I'd appreciate that. Jesse Brown, good morning. Thomas Lamont, got my tickets for the Houston College Classic. Can't get here fast enough. That's going to be a lot of fun. Thinking about going over to Houston for that. Gary Petrie, good morning, Uncle Scone. Would anyone take the OC job at the Saints based on the future of the head coach? Of course, because, you know, the old adage, there's only 32 OC jobs in the NFL, so someone would take it. But the real question is, if you have someone with options, Shane Waldron's a great example. Waldron's the Seahawks OC. He was a hot name that a lot of people wanted. Well, what was more desirable? The Bears? Well, I guess Matt Eberflus may be on the hot seat. You're either going to have Justin Fields or you're going to draft Caleb Williams and have the number 1 overall pick. So what's more desirable, that or the Saints with Derek Carr and Dennis Allen? So yes, there will be people who are definitely that covet the job. But can you be competitive for people who are desired candidates that have options? Jacob, good morning, Matt. I was at my fiance's grandparents' house the other day, meeting their old friends. One of them told me he knew Billy Cannon and got his DDS with him. That's really cool. Brian Wynn, Lance Richard, morning, Matt. What's the latest with Chad Johnson coming on AFR? I am going to post, I need to go tweet at him. He has not reached out to me, but I need to reach out to him, and that's my negligence. I need to reach out to him and say, all right, Ocho, let's do this thing. Jason H., Lewis Malhoit, good morning. Are the OC interviews being conducted just so the Saints can say they did their job while they hire Chucky, John Gruden? I don't think so, Lewis. Let me say I sure hope not. Because if they do hire Gruden, I think that would be a pretty clear indicator that they really don't have any strong desire to change. I mean, of course, you don't have to interview a whole bunch of candidates. You do have to satisfy the Rooney Rule, right? So, actually, I don't know if the Rooney Rule only applies to head coaches or if it applies to coordinators as well. But Lewis, I sure hope not, man. Vaughn, can you believe some tickets are priced at $2,000 for LSU South Carolina? Sure, I can believe they're priced at that. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. I mean, you could list a ticket for whatever you want on secondary. Doesn't mean somebody's going to pay it. Chihuahua 1, good morning, Tim Gotro, Ryan Slayton. Morning, Matt, you're turning into legend status. Is that, I guess that's a good thing because of all of the Bama stuff, I would assume. Whatever it takes, man. 21 years in radio, 14 years of AFR, 17 years of sports. And it took these Bama rants to get me there, huh? My friend Michael, good morning. Larry Gardner, Taylor Hudson, Christian Geiger, Richie Brumfield, James McKinney. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Austin, up early for a few weeks of training for work, joining live. Okay, so Austin Kidder's out there in Vegas, so it's 5:45 a.m. there in Vegas. God bless. I wipe the sleep out your eyes, bro. Eric Wilderado, morning, Matt. Curious if there are any plans to revamp the GameCoin ambassador page / reboot the approach. Currently, Jack Besh is on there as an LSU wide receiver, Fournette as the Bucs running back, etc. Understood. Yes, all of that is going to be redone. As a matter of fact, Eric, if you looked at the most recent update on social media, you will see a really significant change. And we actually have a call today on the platform, so I'm looking forward to being on that and getting you more information. But yes, I'll tell you, as far as the ambassador program, I've had a lot of conversations for potential NIL deals, not just at LSU, but all over the country. And an engagement with the GameCoin ambassador athletes from 2.5 years ago. Because contractually they're all still obligated. And there are some like Demario Davis who remains very engaged and involved and is very excited about it, and others who continue to brainstorm through the platform as well. So yes, the answer is yes. Cliff Nelson, good morning. Good morning, Uncle Scone. # Team Drew. Thank you, Cliff. Austin, Bama is building a mediocre Pac-12 roster. I love it. It may be a really good Pac-12 roster, although the Pac-12 isn't going to exist anymore. But still, it ain't a Bama roster is the point. Alabama's Week 3 showdown with a very tough experience Wisconsin team in Madison will tell us who they are. You know, Brian, I don't think Wisconsin is any good. They were atrocious offensively this year. They had some pretty good moments defensively. But they had to finish strong just to get to a bowl game. And maybe Luke Fickell gets that thing turned around. But really, when you are changing philosophically from what you've done for 30 years into something completely different, I think you'd expect growing pains. So I don't know what to expect from Wisconsin in that game. And I think one of the most fascinating questions that Bama's going to have to answer this year is, how does Kalen DeBoer do Jalen Milroe? Because Milroe isn't exactly stylistically the quarterback that DeBoer wants. Think about Michael Penix this year. Michael Penix didn't run the football. Michael Penix stood in the pocket and just picked teams apart, threw it 40 times a game. That ain't Jalen Milroe. So how do you marry what DeBoer does offensively and what you have in an experienced quarterback in Milroe? I think that's a really important question. Kevin Kaliva, morning Scone. My theory is Dennis Allen is unwittingly hiring his replacement. Saints will go young play caller at OC. This is DA's last chance. When he fails, they will elevate the young OC to head coach. So here's the problem with that theory. If Dennis Allen fails this year, it means said young OC would fail as well. So, I mean, I think the Saints defense is going to be just fine. And what you really need is life and productivity offensively. So if the young OC succeeds, then I think the Saints are going to be really good. Because you have another really weak schedule and a bad division. And, you know, if you figure out offense to pair with your defense, which is still pretty good, then you succeed. So I actually disagree with you there, Kevin. That I don't think that they would be. You see what I mean? Like, if Dennis Allen gets fired next year, it's because your offense was bad again, and that reflects poorly on whoever he hired, who wouldn't then be the head coach. Michael, can't wait for the Bammers to talk themselves into this year after they have the #1 transfer class, all of it just to be let down. Oh, they will. I mean, they will have, because listen, if you look at transfer portal rankings, just as an illustration here. So Ole Miss has the #1 transfer portal class. And this is by, it goes by the points awarded based on your average, right? But Ole Miss has 15 commits. A&M is 2 with 23 commits. Florida State, 14 commits. Louisville, 26 commits. So Louisville has the number 4 transfer portal class. They have 26 commits. You mean to tell me that the 26 commits Louisville added are better than the 7 commits that Texas added? Or this is a better example. Ohio State has the 9th best transfer portal class. 6 commits. 2 of them are 5 stars, though. Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Downs, Seth McLaughlin. Like, Ohio State has added the most impactful players in the portal, but it's only 6 of them. So their score is way lower, so they have the 9th best class. Meanwhile, Louisville has the 4th best class because they have 26 commits. It's quantity, right? Like if I said you could have the 6 commits that Ohio State has or the 26 commits from Louisville, we would all take the 6 from Ohio State. But again, it's where the rankings go. So Bama is going to end up with one of, if not the top transfer portal class, because they're going to have to get their numbers up. Right now, Bama's transfer class is at number 26 in the country because they only have 6 commits. But they have a skeleton roster. They're going to have to add more bodies because of all the guys they lost. So they're going to jump up those rankings because they're going to end up having 20 transfers this year because they're going to need to. Randy Smith, good morning. Uncle Rico is out after the NIL deal fell through. Oh, yeah, LSU's walk-on deal. Josh DeVilliers, I eavesdropped on a Bama space on Twitter. Eavesdrop. Got it. Mass hysteria. The fans are hitting the panic button over the elite players bolting. You would have loved it. Josh, are those things archived? If those things are archived to where like I could go find the audio, I would love to do that and play it on air today. That would be awesome. Bubba Smith, good morning. Rick Manuel, Brennan Kluka. What up, Brennan Kluka? Good morning, man. From Georgia, okay. Been a while since I've caught Morning Scone Live. Good to see you, Brennan. Hope all's well, man. Been Brennan Kluka since high school. Michael Cook, Jim Arsenault, Kelly Groves, Daniel Guidry. What up, y'all? Charlie Cavell, Baseball Hall of Fame announcements today. Maurer and Beltre likely to be elected. Okay. Good news. Kenneth Westbrook, Henry Gordon Bennett. In your opinion, what do you think the college football playoff will ultimately look like after the 2-year trial? I don't understand the question. Like, do I think they change the format again? I think eventually we change the entire structure of college football, which I've said for years, where you're no longer going to be affiliated with conferences. It's just going to be college football, right? The top 50 teams or so, invite only, a structure like the NFL. And they'll divide schedules regionally or however they're going to do it. But that's what I think we're headed for eventually. And I think you look at like a 16-team playoff, I think is an eventuality. In 2 years, do I think we're there? Probably not. But I'll tell you something that is gaining a ton of traction is a pay-for-play model. And I don't know, or excuse me, a rev share is what I should say, a rev share. So like where the college athletic departments are sharing revenue with the athletes. And that will be, if it happens, and I've had enough high-level conversations with people who, well, I'll tell you this, there are athletic departments already, I know this for a fact, there are athletic departments already preparing for what they feel like is the inevitability of a revenue share, where they are going to have to share the revenue they bring in with the student athletes. And as such, they will have to budget to share that revenue with the student athletes. So they're already planning those budgets. And I've heard some as soon as 2025 are preparing for that likelihood. So we could see massive change in the next 12 to 16 months in intercollegiate athletics. But the reason I always bring that up is if you rev share, then remember, in a Title IX world, whatever you pay the football team, you've got to pay the women's soccer team. Whatever you pay the basketball team, you've got to pay women's diving, right? It's whatever you spend on men's sports, you have to spend on women's sports. So I don't know how a rev share makes any sense whatsoever. Because of the sheer number of scholarship athletes you have, that dollar amount per athlete will be so diluted, it's hard to imagine being consequential. While similarly, you're taking money away from coaches, facilities, travel budgets, recruiting budgets, all of that stuff. So I think that's going to be fascinating if it does play out like a lot of people think it will. James Avery, good morning. Lewoski Watkins, good morning. Tuscaloosa Tiger here. I've been back home in Tuscaloosa to see the sad faces and certainty of these Bama fans. It's fantastic. Cliff, I'll be glad to let the Saints take McCarthy off our hands to be the OC. No, not interested. Lewoski, Matt, my brother, you've been a legend. Thank you, man. Michael, Matt, do you believe there's any real chance Nuss could win the Heisman? His current odds are similar to Jaden's odds at the start of last year. Michael, it would be silly to discount it. Because I think what you're seeing now is odds makers are viewing the LSU quarterback, whoever it is, in the same way that they're viewing the USC quarterback, the Ohio State quarterback, the Alabama, the Georgia quarterback, right? Because the assumption is the team's going to be good. They're going to have a really good offense, put up numbers, so we better not expose ourselves to liability against one of these players. Like, think about all the people that had long shot odds on Jade Daniels last year and cashed in. So, all right, got about 3 more minutes. Ryan Slayton, can you and T-Bob have a Bama rant segment every week on Whiskey and Wine? Maybe. Tommy, good morning. Enjoying how much you made the Gumps mad. Sorry they can't take banter. It's only been a couple that have made family comments, but you just pray for those people, right? Devin Kelly, good morning. Trivia Carter, Brett DeGros, Josh DeVilliers. Ole Miss fans are saying because of our low number of portal players, we're in big trouble. I mean, but that's the goal. Is you don't look at Ohio State. Ohio State has 6 players in the portal. You don't want to build your roster in the portal. You want to supplement your roster in the portal. That's an ideal situation. LSU has holes. Like, I don't think LSU is a championship team next year. As of now, anyway. Could they get there? Maybe, but they had a lot of work to do. Brian Wynn, Matt, with the expanded college football playoff, do you see the SEC championship game going away? No. Too much of a money grab. It's just a huge moneymaker. So it's what I've always said. There is no functional purpose of having conference championship games. It's just a giant revenue generator, so they'll keep doing it. Lewis, morning all. Matt, do you think the OC searches a smoke screen to hire Gruden? I do not. I hope not. Jerry G, Damon Douglas, Matt, with the limited scholarships numbers is, I don't think you finished that, man. Or at least I don't see it. All right, y'all. Got about a minute left. I got to go. As always, shout out to Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. They're the best. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. If you need an orthopedist, you go to Brock. You need a roof, you give us a shout. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Stewart, good morning, Matt. Hypothetically, if Brian Kelly takes another job, do you think LSU appoints a new head coach internally so they can keep the new defensive staff they hired? No, I do not. And I also do not think Brian Kelly's taking another job, which I know is going to shock some people, but a lot of people took a hypothetical, an answer I gave to a hypothetical question with a million qualifiers and took it as a prediction, which should never have been done, but internet going internet. Okay, we're done. I got to go get Drew up and get him ready for school. Thanks so much for watching. Y'all have an awesome day. LSU Daily is already live, so however you get your podcast, it would be a huge help to me if you would just go search LSU Daily and subscribe up to that podcast. I'd appreciate that greatly. And AFR at 3. Y'all have an awesome day. Peace. I'm out of here.